once with it. After this video, you'll know exactly how to interpret your dreams. Hi, this is Harold and welcome to the Sanctum. The Sanctum is a channel dedicated to learning and exploring the ancient teachings of the East and West. If you're new to this channel, please remember to click that subscribe button. Please like this video and please click the bell icon to be notified whenever I post new videos. So in this video, we're going to be talking about dream interpretation. Now, those of you who have been following my channel for a while already know that I have an entire playlist on lucid dreaming, as well as dreams and dream interpretations and dream symbols. Now, when we're talking about dreams, the subject is so vast, as well as if you're trying to interpret a dream, there are many ways that you can do it, as well as many systems you can follow. And the amount of symbols that you may be bombarded with when you're interacting or analyzing a dream that you had could be so difficult and so vast that it may be quite difficult in order for you to do so easily. So this video is all about summarizing certain key points or key aspects of the dream that you can look at and analyze using your own ability to meditate upon your dream so that you can interpret that dream and find out what it may mean to you and what your unconscious mind is trying to tell you through that particular dream. So there are many aspects of the dream. And before we continue, it's important to note that whenever you're analyzing a dream, whenever you're trying to interpret a dream, please avoid overthinking the actual symbolism of the dream. It's very easy for us to have a negative dream or a dream that might scare us in some way and immediately get caught up and overthink as to what this dream might mean. Now, this is not useful to us in any way. It's very easy for us to fall prey to this sort of thinking. So let me start by saying, when you are doing any form of dream interpretation, take it with a pinch of salt and prevent your mind from allowing that dream to take over you and your own sense of peace. The whole point of dream interpretation is to allow us to see what's happening in the depths of our minds and be able to improve ourselves in some way so that we are able to understand ourselves and know ourselves in a better way. So let's get right to it. So first of all, regardless of what the dream is, number one, notice whether you're inside or you're outside in that dream. Are you indoors, in a house, in a hotel, in a school, in a college? Or are you outdoors? Are you in a forest? Are you on a beach? Are you up on a mountain? Are you inside or are you outside? And analyze what could that mean. Could it mean if you're inside, that there's something inside you have to deal with? Something internal. Maybe the dream is representing something internal that's happening within you as a symbol. If it's outside, maybe it's related to your external life, something that happened outside of you, something that involves an environmental influence of some kind. So, once again, this is for you to meditate upon. Is this dream happening inside? Are you inside something or are you outside? The next aspect is, are you alone in this dream or are you with someone? So, if you are with someone, who is the person that you're with? Is it a family member? Is it a lover? Is it a friend? Is it a complete stranger? Who is that person to you? What relationship do you have with this person? What is the person doing? Is it something that you're familiar with? For example, something that you're always used to do together, like play video games or do yoga or meditate or go traveling together? Or is it something completely random, like throw eggs at you? So notice what the person is doing and how the person is behaving towards you. What emotion is that other person showing you? Is it love? Is it hate? Is it anger? Is it fear? So if it's another person and another person's in the dream, one way of interpreting it is, if you look at the Jungian perspective of the anima and the animus, this can talk about archetypal aspects of oneself. So the anima could represent a certain feminine aspect of oneself, and the animus, a masculine aspect of oneself. We've got both of these aspects within ourselves, and they can manifest itself through another individual in a dream. Okay, so in other words, is it a motherly energy? Is it a fatherly energy? Is it a grandfatherly energy? Is it a grandmotherly energy? So depending on what sort of person it is and what sort of archetypal energy it represents, it could be a reflection of that aspect of yourself within yourself trying to tell you something in some way. So now be aware that when you have dreams of this nature, it doesn't mean that it's always this. It could also simply be processing something that your mind hasn't fully processed, and you're simply processing this. So dreams, to a large extent, is related to this psychological dimension of internal processing. So apart from the psychological aspects, there could also be certain spiritual aspects related to interpreting your dream in this way. Now what about if you're alone? Now if you're alone, notice what's actually happening in the dream environment. What do you see with your dream senses? What do you hear? Were there any fragrances? Were there any residual tastes? And what's very important is, what were you feeling? Were you able to feel your body? Now you may or may not remember these, but these aspects of sensorial or dream sensorial experiences are very important to note down if you were to get deep down into the interpretation of your dream. The next element is, were you on the ground, meaning on a flat surface or water, on the earth itself? Were you underground or were you above ground? So what I mean by this is, were you on a park, which means on the ground? Were you walking down the stairs into a basement underground? Or were you on a plane flying above ground? Or were you simply just flying above ground? These are all very important aspects. Now, going down below the ground could symbolize that you're going into the depths of your unconscious, to where all those deep-seated fears, phobias, traumas, aspects of ourselves we don't want to look at lie beneath the skin, reside below the ground. On the ground may represent aspects of ourselves that are quite apparent to us, things that we're aware of. So now when we go above the ground, there might be a certain spiritual element to it, because we're now no longer on the earth, we're up in the heavens, whereas before we were down in the depths of the earth, when we went underground. And now when we're over, it's like we've risen above something, we've transcended, we've elevated in some way. So notice whether you are rising above something in your dream, or whether you are going below something in your dream, or whether you are simply there observing something. So notice and observe your dream in this way. The next is, in what direction are you walking in your dream? So now, if you notice dreams in general, oftentimes you're only walking in one direction. You're always walking forward. Have you noticed this? You're always walking forward. It's very rare or almost never that you walk to the side or walk backwards. You're always walking forwards. You're always speaking to somebody in front of you. You're not turning around and speaking to somebody on the side. You're always looking forward. And now if you look at the Aztec interpretation of dreaming, and I've spoken about this in some of my other videos about dreaming, in the Aztec system, what the Aztecs say, according to the book The Toltec Secret by Sergio Magana, wherever your nose is pointing in the dream, that is the north. Okay, so wherever your nose is pointing, that signifies and points towards the north of your dream. So, according to the Aztecs, if you're walking forwards towards the north, that's what they call the land of the dead. So, land of the dead, as in what the Aztecs call Mictlan, which translates to land of the dead, meaning that which is already dead, such as the past. So, if you're walking forward in the dream, it's likely that you're simply just processing things that's happened in the past, things that's happened during the day, or things that's happened yesterday or beyond that still haven't been processed. So if you're walking forward, you're simply processing those particular memories that haven't been processed yet. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail regarding the whole aspect of direction, because that will take an entire video itself. And most likely this video itself I'm going to make multiple parts, because there's no way I can talk about dream interpretation in one video. It's just too vast of a subject in order to discuss in such a short period of time. So notice what direction you're walking. Okay. Next thing is, are you interacting with any of the elements, fire, air, earth, water? And I've already made a couple of videos in the past about the symbol of water and symbol of air, and in the future I will be making fire and earth as well. But notice if you're interacting with the elements, because that's a very important sign. Oftentimes you might be interacting with water in some way. Maybe you're in a pool, maybe you're drinking a glass of water, maybe you're in rain. Now I've made an entire video about the element of water, and you can find that video by clicking the link above. And in the same way, I've made a video about air, and you can find that link above as well. So in the same way, there's fire, interacting with fire, and that could signify, I'll make a video much more in depth about fire in the future. But just as a quick summary, fire can represent maybe a destruction of something, a creation of something, an ignition, a start. It also could represent frustration, it could represent passion, it could represent lust. So the fiery element, and if you watched all my videos about the elements, you can use that knowledge to help interpret dreams when it comes to elements. Now, and of course, then earth could be related to materiality, it could be related to career, it could be related to finances, it could be related to growth, it could be related to nurturing, nutrition, all of these aspects that are earthly in nature. The next thing is, are you interacting with a certain item of some sort, or just an item that you wouldn't normally interact with? Like, are you holding a skull, or are you wearing a hat and you don't normally wear a hat, or are you wearing a veil in your dream? Something strange that you wouldn't normally do or interact with in usual waking day life. So now, depending on what that item is, now this is something I can't particularly give you a lot of information about, because each item may symbolize something in some way. So for example, if it's a skull, first of all, a skull is related to the head, but it's also made with bone. A skull is made out of bone. So bone is that which is hidden beneath the skin, but it's also that which gives structure to our head, right? And our head is that aspect of ourselves that people can identify us with. So maybe holding a skull could represent that we are now holding or looking at an aspect that's of ourself, our identification, that is now apparent to us, that wasn't apparent to us because it's beneath the skin, and now it's crumbling and dying, because a skull is that which is left when someone dies, and it's also a symbol of death in some way. So in that way, you would interpret the symbol as I just did right now for a skull. And that takes a little bit of practice and meditation to be able to look at a symbol and be able to really remove all its skin to get down to the bone, and be able to set it in front of you and be like, okay, this is what it could possibly mean. So depending on what that particular item you're interacting with, you would need to meditate upon that symbol, or simply get some, you could even Google search that particular item. Don't directly copy it from the internet, but look at it and meditate upon it. See what that item is. How do you feel when you're interacting with that item? What does the item do? What is the purpose of that item? And see what it could mean to you. For example, a veil could mean that something is being hidden from you. You can't see something clearly. So in this way, you would need to interpret what that item would mean that you're interacting with. Next thing is, how do you feel in the dream? Depending on what situation is taking place in the dream, how do you feel? How do you feel inside? In that dream environment, when that situation is taking place, how do you feel? Is there something that you're doing in reaction to that situation? And depending on what that emotion is, it could tell you more about what is being processed. And if you put everything together that we've just spoken about, you can create a very strong and efficient dream interpretation that could tell you more about what your unconscious mind is trying to tell you. But once again, simply to close this video, I want to repeat what I said at the start of this video. Regardless of what dream you had, it's very important to avoid yourself from getting caught up as to what this dream would really mean to you. If you get obsessed over a dream, it's likely you'll never find out the meaning of that dream, because you've got so obsessed over it that the dream itself becomes obscured, and the actual symbol and the meaning, you block it from actually allowing itself to reveal itself to you in that way. So it's very important to do this and take it with a pinch of salt. Have fun with it and enjoy in interpreting the dream. But as I mentioned in other videos, it's very important to meditate upon the dream yourself and get to the meaning yourself. And that's what will make you understand yourself more and help you connect to your own dreaming capability and the language of your unconscious. So I hope this all makes sense. If you're new to this channel, please remember to click the subscribe button and the bell icon. Please like this video. Please share this video. And if you wish to support the growth of this channel, please consider becoming a patron on Patreon. You can find the link in the description box below or in the screen in front of you. So thank you, take care, and I shall see you very soon.